Did you know that Kentucky is home to the longest known cave system in the entire world? With over 420 miles of mapped passages and explorers still finding more? That there is a piece of Kentucky completely cut off from the rest of the state by the Mississippi River. The only way to reach it by road is to drive through Tennessee and Missouri first? And that 95% of all the bourbon produced on Earth comes from one single state? I'll just say one thing before we start. By the time you reach the last fact on this list, you will understand exactly why Kentucky is one of the strangest and most underrated states in the country. These are 22 facts. Let's get into it. Fact 1. Mammoth Cave National Park is home to the longest known cave system in the world, over 420 miles of mapped passageways, and that number keeps growing as explorers find new sections. To put that in perspective, if you could unroll all the known passages and lay them end to end in a straight line, they would stretch across the entire state of Kentucky more than 4 times over, and the exploration is not finished. Fact 2. Kentucky sits on a foundation of limestone, and that geology is the reason the state produces bourbon that the rest of the world cannot fully replicate. The limestone bedrock naturally filters the water flowing through it, removing iron, which inhibits flavor, while adding calcium and magnesium, which are essential for fermentation. The water that makes Kentucky bourbon taste the way it does has been filtered by geology, not engineering. Fact 3. Kentucky produces 95% of the world's bourbon. Not most of it. 95% of it. A bourbon can legally be made anywhere in the United States, but for historical, cultural, and geological reasons, nearly all of it is made right here. The limestone water, the climate, the agricultural tradition, and the legal requirements for aging in new charred oak barrels all converged in Kentucky and stayed there. Fact 4. The city of Middlesboro, Kentucky, holds a distinction that almost no other city in the world can claim. It was built entirely inside a meteor impact crater. The Middlesboro crater, formed approximately 300 million years ago, is about 3 miles in diameter, and the entire city sits within its geological boundaries. Most of its residents have no idea they live inside an ancient impact site. Fact 5. At the extreme southwestern corner of the state lies a piece of land called the Kentucky Bend, approximately 17,000 acres belonging to Fulton County, Kentucky. The problem is that the meandering Mississippi River has completely cut it off from the rest of the state. There is no road that connects it to Kentucky without first passing through Tennessee and Missouri. It is legally Kentucky. Getting there by land requires leaving Kentucky entirely. Fact 6. Cumberland Falls in southeastern Kentucky is one of the only places in the Western Hemisphere where you can regularly witness a moonbow, a rainbow produced at night by moonlight refracting off the mist from the waterfall. It only happens on clear nights near a full moon. Most people never see one in their lifetime. In Kentucky, you can schedule it on a calendar. Fact 7. Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas holds the record for the oldest federally protected land. But if we are talking cave systems, Kentucky's Big Bone Lick State Historic Site is considered the birthplace of American vertebrate paleontology. Ice Age megafauna, woolly mammoths, giant ground sloths, mastodons were drawn to natural salt deposits here for thousands of years. Their bones accumulated in such quantities that Thomas Jefferson sent a personal expedition to collect specimens. The site helped define what American natural science became. Fact 8. The melody for Happy Birthday to You was composed in Louisville, Kentucky in 1893 by 2 sisters named Patty and Mildred Hill. They originally called it Good Morning to All, written as a song for children to sing at the start of the school day. The melody was later adapted to birthday lyrics and was the subject of one of the most complicated copyright disputes in modern history. The most sung song in the world started in a Kentucky classroom. Fact 9. Louisville Slugger, the world's most famous baseball bat manufacturer, has been making bats in Louisville, Kentucky since 1884. Outside the museum, there is a steel replica of Babe Ruth's bat, standing 120 feet tall and weighing 68,000 pounds, roughly the size of a 7-story building tipped on its end. The bat is visible from the highway. It is not subtle. Fact 10. The UPS Worldport at Louisville International Airport is the largest fully automated package handling facility on the planet. It covers over 5.2 million square feet, the equivalent of roughly 90 American football fields, and processes an average of 416,000 packages per hour, using 17,000 miles of conveyor belts. One of the world's most critical logistics hubs is in landlocked Kentucky, not on a coast. Fact 11. Deep beneath the city of Louisville lies a former limestone quarry that has been converted into Louisville Mega Cavern, a fully enclosed underground complex covering over 4 million square feet, located about 100 feet below street level at a constant 58 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. It houses commercial storage, recreational facilities, and one of the largest recycling operations in the region. An entire underground city exists beneath Louisville, and most visitors to the city never know it is there. Fact 12. In 1809, in Danville, Kentucky, Dr. Ephraim McDowell performed the first successful ovariectomy in the world, surgically removing an ovarian tumor at a time when abdominal surgery was considered a death sentence due to infection. The patient, Jane Todd Crawford, survived the operation and lived for another 32 years. A procedure that transformed the entire field of surgery was performed for the first time in a small Kentucky town with no antiseptic knowledge and no precedent. Fact 13. The governor of Kentucky is still required, upon taking office, to swear an oath that they have never fought a duel with deadly weapons. This requirement has been in the state constitution since the early 19th century, when dueling was a common, if illegal, method for politicians to settle disputes. The practice is long gone. The oath is still there. Every governor of Kentucky still swears it. Fact 14. Kentucky has 120 counties, one of the highest totals of any state relative to its size and population. The reason goes back to the state's early settlement history. When Kentucky was first being divided into administrative units, travel was so difficult that counties were repeatedly split to ensure no citizen lived more than a day's ride from a county seat. The geography of early Kentucky created 120 county governments that the state has been managing ever since. Fact 15. The burning spring on the Big Sandy River in eastern Kentucky has been continuously on fire for hundreds of years. A natural gas seep at the spring ignites and burns perpetually, documented by explorers and settlers since the 1700s. It is a visible, accessible display of the concentrated fossil fuel geology beneath the Appalachian region of eastern Kentucky, a flame that has never gone out in recorded history. Fact 16. Fort Knox near Louisville holds a significant portion of the United States' official gold reserves inside a vault lined with granite and guarded by layers of security, including an electric fence and a door weighing over 20 tons that requires multiple people with separate combinations to open. The exact amount stored there changes, but it is consistently among the largest concentrations of monetary gold anywhere on Earth. The gold is never on display. Nobody visits it. Fact 17. Garrett Morgan, an African-American inventor born in Paris, Kentucky, patented an early version of the traffic signal in 1923. His three-position system, stop, go, and an intermediary caution signal, was the direct predecessor of the modern traffic light used on every major road in the world. The device that manages traffic flow on every street in every city traces back to a Kentucky inventor. Fact 18. Before California, before New York's Finger Lakes, before any of the wine regions most people associate with American viticulture, Kentucky had the first commercial vineyard in the United States. In 1799, a Swiss-born vintner named Jean-Jacques Dufour established the first vineyard near Lexington. The industry eventually collapsed from disease and prohibition, but the historical record is clear: the American wine industry was born in the bluegrass. Fact 19. The famous bluegrass region of central Kentucky is not just aesthetically distinct, it is scientifically different. The limestone bedrock here is exceptionally calcium-rich, and that calcium gets absorbed by the grass, which is then consumed by grazing horses. The bone density and skeletal development of thoroughbreds raised on bluegrass region pastures is measurably different from horses raised elsewhere. The soil is not just fertile, it is horse-specific. Fact 20. Kentucky's entire underground landscape is a hydrological engine. The porous limestone bedrock channels water through hundreds of cave networks across the state, and the volume of water moving beneath the surface is estimated to be large enough to sustain small cities. That water feeds springs, rivers, and aquifers that entire regional ecosystems and agricultural operations depend on, and almost none of it is visible from the surface. A silent, immense plumbing system running beneath the entire state. Fact 21. Bill Monroe, who gave bluegrass music its name and defined its sound, was born and raised in Kentucky. His band, the Bluegrass Boys, established the genre's signature style, acoustic string instruments, high vocal harmonies, and a speed and intensity that set it apart from traditional Appalachian folk music. Bluegrass music is not just named after the state. It was invented here by a Kentucky musician, and it has carried the identity of the Commonwealth to audiences on every continent. Fact 22, and this is the one that brings everything on this list together. Kentucky has no coastline, no major port, no tropical climate, and no exotic natural resources. What it has is limestone bedrock, pure filtered groundwater, a climate with 4 distinct seasons, centuries of agricultural and distilling tradition, and 420 miles of underground cave passages still being explored. A state most people drive through on the way somewhere else is the world's only source of 95% of the bourbon ever made, home to the longest cave system on Earth, and the place where the first commercial vineyard, the first traffic signal, and the first successful abdominal surgery in American history all happened. Kentucky is not boring. It has just been letting people assume that. Which fact got you? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you think I missed something, tell me, because your comments shape what we cover next. If wild, real geography is your thing, subscribe to Wild States Facts, where I am covering every state, one wild fact at a time. See you in the next one.